Sunny thought she had Karoline cornered on religion. But Karoline wasn't backing down, and what followed left even Whoopi speechless. But today the tension was sharper. A producer had just informed Sunny. Karoline's wearing a cross necklace and a Bible verse pin. She's ready for this fight. Karoline Leavitt was scheduled to appear on the panel. It had been pitched as a discussion about young women in politics, the changing face of conservatism, reaching across generational divides. But that was just the version the public saw. Behind the scenes, there were emails, conditions, and warnings. Karoline had only agreed to appear if religious discussions remained respectful. That meant no mocking faith, no attacking Christianity as inherently political, and no personal attacks on her beliefs. The View's producers had agreed, or at least they said they had. But just minutes before they walked onto the set, Sunny Hostin told the other hosts, "I'm going after the Christian nationalism angle. Hard." And Karoline came prepared for spiritual warfare. When Karoline finally stepped onto the stage, she radiated calm confidence. The audience's applause was mixed, but she smiled warmly, her cross catching the studio lights. She sat with perfect posture, her Bible verse pin clearly visible. The hosts were already positioned for attack. Sunny struck first, not even waiting for pleasantries. Sunny said, "Karoline, I see you're wearing your religion quite literally on your sleeve. Don't you think that's inappropriate for someone in government?" Karoline touched her cross gently. She said, "This was my grandmother's, Sunny. I notice you're wearing a cross too. Should I find that inappropriate?" Sunny's face tightened. She said, "I don't use my faith as a political weapon." Karoline interrupted smoothly. She said, "Neither do I. I use it as a personal compass. There's a difference between being guided by faith and weaponizing it. You should know that as a Catholic." The audience stirred. Sunny wasn't used to being challenged on religious grounds. Joy jumped in. She said, "But you support policies that force your religious beliefs on others." Karoline turned to her calmly. She said, "Which policies specifically? Name one where I've said, because the Bible says so as my only reasoning." Silence. Joy looked flustered. Whoopi tried to help. She said, "The abortion issue is clearly religious." Karoline smiled. She said, "I oppose abortion because I believe life begins at conception based on science, biology, heartbeats, and brain waves. That my faith agrees with science is correlation, not causation." That's when Sunny went for the kill. She said, "You can't separate your white Christian nationalism from your politics." Karoline stood up, not angrily, with complete composure. She said, "White Christian nationalism? Sunny, you just saw my faith in my skin color and created a slur. You know who else judges people by religion and race combined? I'll let you think about that." Sunny stood too, angry. She said, "Don't you dare compare." Now, what happens next is why they tried to edit this segment down to nothing. They don't want you to see what happens when someone exposes the religious hypocrisy at the heart of progressive politics. If you want to see how Karoline turns the tables on their anti-Christian bias, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this biblical-level takedown will restore your faith. Karoline's voice remained steady. She said, "I'm not comparing anything. I'm observing. You wear a cross while attacking me for wearing one. You claim faith while denying mine. You practice religion while calling mine dangerous. That's not politics, Sunny. That's hypocrisy." She turned to the audience. Karoline said, "Watch what's happening here. A black Catholic woman is telling a white Christian woman that her faith is inherently racist. She's using progressive buzzwords to mask religious bigotry. This is what modern persecution looks like." Sunny exploded. She said, "Persecution? Christians run this country." Karoline laughed genuinely. She said, "Do we? Can't pray in schools. Can't display nativity scenes. Can't refuse to participate in ceremonies that violate our conscience. Can't even wear a cross without being called a nationalist. But sure, we run everything." Sarah tried to mediate. She said, "But you have to admit, some Christians have used faith to justify terrible things." Karoline nodded. She said, "Absolutely. Just like some Muslims have. Some Jews have. Some atheists have. Evil people corrupt everything they touch. Should we ban all belief systems because some abuse them?" She looked directly at Sunny. Karoline continued, "You know what's really happening here? You're a Christian who's embarrassed by other Christians. You think distancing yourself from us makes you sophisticated. But all it makes you is a Pharisee." The audience gasped. Sunny's face went rigid. Sunny said, "How dare you question my faith? Caroline's voice rose slightly. She said, "You questioned mine first. You called it nationalism. You reduced my grandmother's cross to a political statement. You judged my heart based on my voting record. That's not just questioning faith, that's denying it exists." Alyssa tried to jump in. She said, "Can we please calm down?" Karoline turned to her. She said, "I am calm. I'm also clear. My faith informs my values. My values inform my politics. That's called integrity. What Sunny does, claiming faith while attacking faithful people, that's called performance." She pulled out her phone. Karoline said, "You know what? Let's look at Sunny's own words about faith." She read from her screen. "Here's you saying my Catholic faith is central to who I am. Here's you attacking Amy Coney Barrett's Catholic faith. Here's you defending Biden's Catholicism while calling traditional Catholics extremists. Which is it, Sunny?" Sunny was speechless for once. Karoline continued, "You use faith as a shield when convenient and a sword when profitable. You claim Christianity while crucifying Christians. You wear that cross while denying others the right to wear theirs with pride." Joy tried to deflect. She said, "This is getting too personal." Karoline spun on her. She said, "Faith is personal. That's the point. You can't attack someone's deepest beliefs then cry foul when they defend them." She walked closer to where Sunny stood. Karoline said, "You want to know the difference between us? I wear my faith openly and accept the consequences. You hide behind a progressive version that requires no sacrifice, no conviction, no actual belief. Your Christianity is cultural. Mine is conviction." Sunny finally found her voice. She said, "You don't get to judge my faith." Karoline interrupted. She said, "Then stop judging mine. Stop calling it nationalism. Stop treating it like a mental illness. Stop acting like believing the Bible makes me dangerous." The audience was completely riveted. Many were nodding along. Karoline addressed them directly. She said, "This is what conservative Christians face every day. Our faith is forcing beliefs, but their secularism isn't. Our prayers are offensive, but their mockery is free speech. Our values are dangerous, but their values are just common sense." Whoopi tried to regain control. She said, "I think we need to." Karoline wasn't finished. She said, "We need to acknowledge the anti-Christian bigotry on this show. The constant mockery of prayer. The eye rolls at faith. The assumption that believing in God equals stupidity. Sunny embodies it perfectly. A Christian who hates Christianity." Sunny shouted, "I don't hate Christianity." Karoline looked at her with something almost like pity. She said, "No, you hate Christians who actually believe it, who live it, who won't compromise it for cultural acceptance. You hate that we won't evolve our eternal truths for your temporal politics." Security started moving, unsure what to do. Karoline delivered her closing argument. She said, "Keep your cross, Sunny. But know that wearing it while attacking those who share your faith makes you exactly what Jesus warned about, a whitewashed tomb. Beautiful on the outside, dead on the inside." She touched her own cross one last time. Karoline said, "This stays on. My faith stays strong. And your hypocrisy stays exposed. God bless you all, especially you, Sunny. You need it most." She walked off to thunderous applause from half the audience. Sunny stood there, shaking with rage, her own cross suddenly feeling very heavy. And what happened next proved everything Karoline had said. After Karoline's exit, the studio erupted into religious warfare. The audience was split not just politically, but spiritually. Christians in the audience were standing, many openly praying. Others were arguing about faith versus politics. She's right about the hypocrisy. Christianity shouldn't be in government. Then neither should secularism. That's not the same thing. Sunny tried to defend herself. She said, "I'm a proud Catholic." Someone in the audience shouted, "Then act like it." Another voice, "You attack every Christian who disagrees with you." A woman stood up holding her own cross necklace. She said, "I'm Catholic too, Sunny. But I'm tired of you speaking for us while betraying us." Karoline said what we all think. The hosts were completely off balance. This wasn't political anymore. It was spiritual. Joy tried to minimize. She said, "This is why religion and politics shouldn't mix." But that made it worse. Multiple audience members pointed out the inconsistency. They only said that when conservative faith was involved. During commercial break, producers were in panic mode. The religious division in the audience was unprecedented. Some were holding impromptu prayer circles. Others were leaving in disgust. When they returned, they immediately pivoted to a pre-taped segment. But the damage was catastrophic. Within hours, #SunnyTheHypocrite was trending. Christians across denominations united in calling out the selective acceptance of faith. Even liberal Christians were uncomfortable with what they'd witnessed. A progressive pastor tweeted, "I disagree with Karoline Leavitt politically, but she's right about the hypocrisy. We can't claim faith while mocking the faithful." Catholic organizations released statements defending the right to wear religious symbols without political interpretation. The bishop of Sunny's own diocese reportedly reached out to her privately. That night, Karoline posted a video, calm and thoughtful. "I didn't go there to have a theological debate. But when someone wearing a cross attacks me for wearing one, when they call my faith nationalism, while claiming their identical faith is noble, I had to respond. Christianity isn't political, but defending it has become necessary." She held up her grandmother's cross. She said, "This represents 2,000 years of faith. It's survived persecution before. It'll survive the view." The video went mega-viral across religious communities. Not just Christian, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, all related to the experience of having faith mocked by those who claim to share it. Sunny tried to respond on the show the next day, but it backfired. She said she was a different kind of Christian, which only proved Karoline's point about creating hierarchies of faith based on politics. Within a week, the View's ratings among religious viewers, of all faiths, cratered. They'd exposed something that couldn't be walked back: contempt for sincere belief. Religious leaders started declining invitations to appear. The show's casual mockery of prayer and faith suddenly seemed toxic. They'd lost moral authority on spiritual matters. A month later, at a religious freedom event, Karoline was asked about the confrontation. Sunny Hostin wears a cross while denying others the right to wear theirs meaningfully. She claims faith while attacking the faithful. That's not progressivism, it's Phariseeism. And Christ had words for that. The impact rippled through media. Other shows became careful about religious discussions. The casual Christian bashing that had become standard started disappearing. But the deeper impact was among believers. Young Christians started wearing their crosses more openly. The intimidation factor decreased. If Karoline could stand up to the View, they could stand up to their classmates, co-workers, culture. Karoline Leavitt didn't just shut down Sunny Hostin that day. She shut down the double standard that said some faith was acceptable and some was dangerous. She exposed the hollow Christianity that condemned actual Christians. She revealed that the real intolerance came from those preaching tolerance. And in doing so, she gave voice to millions who'd been told their sincere faith was somehow less valid than performative faith. The revolution wasn't political. It was spiritual, and it started with one question: should I find your cross inappropriate too? A question that exposed everything. A question that changed the conversation. A question that reminded believers: your faith is not a problem to be solved. It's a truth to be lived. Without apology. Without compromise. Without permission from those who wear the symbols but deny the substance.